Okay, we are back. I'm your host, Barry Waxler, here with the always lovely and talented Andrea Kay, the always incredible Urban Miaris, who's sitting back and listening to me make a fool of myself today.
Never.
I'm
taking notes.
Taking notes, and, that sounds like something else, but I'll leave that one be, too. And we have our first guest of the day with us. We have Miss Jeanne McAlister from the McAlister Institute. Welcome, Jeanne.
Well, thank you for having me.
Great. So tell us a little bit about the McAlister Institute.
Well, we're 38 years old, and we have 27 different programs throughout San Diego County. We treat people from infant almost to any age, mostly adolescents. We have a program for women who live with their children while they're in treatment. We're county funded, and so we can afford to treat people for no fees.
Okay, so
wow.
the treatment, okay?
Oh, yes, I didn't mention that, did I? No, it's alcohol, drugs, and mental health issues because they're usually combined.
Right.
Today.
Well, I was fortunate enough to meet Jeanne a couple weeks back over at Mental Health Systems with Kim Bond, lady I have infinite amount of respect for.
Right.
Okay. So I love what you do. You give back to the community. We love having the people that you've been giving back to our community for what 38 years. Is that what we just said?
Yes. Well, actually a little more because I worked for a psychiatrist for about 5 years before we formed McAlister Institute. I myself am in recovery.
Okay.
And I always like to mention that, not so much for myself, but I like to let people know that recovery works, and I celebrated 58 years last November.
Wow.
So it's a lifetime of living clean and sober, having fun. When I first got there, I thought, oh my goodness, I'll never ever have fun again. I'll have to be a little old lady in a rocking chair knitting, because my life is going to be gone. Well, that's not true. It's been a big party.
Yeah, something tells me you haven't seen a rocking chair in many years.
Yeah, and I'm 83, and I'm still not in that rocking chair.
That's a great thing.
And having a lot of fun, right?
Yeah.
Having a lot of fun.
Yes.
Now, the treatments that you do, are they based on what worked for you?
No, it's we do individualized assessments, and we try to accommodate what's best for the client. It's my philosophy that we don't bring a client up to therapy. We bring the therapy down to the client so that they can work it, and make a choice. And probably the biggest thing I think that we do is create an atmosphere where people can choose to change so they feel safe in being able to do that. And I think that if people get the right information and have an atmosphere in which they can change, they'll make better choices for themselves.
That's great. That's great. So for 37 or 38 years you've been doing this, and you're bringing the program down to the people's level. That's got to be such a huge, much better way to do it. You start thinking about of all the other programs out there, not necessarily in drug and alcohol rehab, but just any kind of program where it's my way or the highway, and
or cookie cutter.
Yeah.
Right.
Customized is always better because people are individuals.
Yeah. They absolutely are, and we have a lot of them with different stories and different circumstances. And I always like to talk a little bit about the fact that my granddaughter came to work for me about 3 years ago. She graduated from USC and didn't know what she wanted to do. And so she came to work for us for 6 months. Well, she's been there 3 years. She's fallen in love with this population, with what we do. But one of the things that she did was ask people in long-term sobriety what was important to them. And I thought, it's on YouTube, and I thought they would say things like, oh, I have a job, I have a house, I have money in the bank. None of those things. It was all about being a mother again, being a parent again, being a sister again, being a brother again. So for those of you that are listening, please know that if you have a loved one that suffers with alcoholism or drug addiction or mental health issues, that they love you. They want to do something for you. And
great.
It's not their fault. That's the other thing that I like.
Well, tell me a little bit, because I know there's a correlation between alcohol and drug addiction from parents, hereditary.
It's a genetic predisposition.
Well, they've said that, but I have two beautiful. They said that there's a lot of studies out there that I don't know whether they're real or not. I just have life experience, which is my own grandchildren. If you go with the genetic, are supposed to be addicts.
Right, and they're not, right?
And they're not, neither one. One's a very successful attorney, and the other one is working for me, of course, and they don't drink excessively. So
well, there's the hereditary disposition going from your intelligence to them, I'll tell you that.
Right, and I've never, ever preached to them about it, so I just would always wanted to be the kind of person that if they chose to not drink, that they wanted to be like me. So it's attraction, not promotion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
what have you seen in the last 38 years, or have you seen a change in society in the last 38 years that has affected the work that you're doing in terms of an increase in particular types of substance abuse? Anything?
Well, it's pretty much the same. Okay, it's alcohol, marijuana, speed, heroin, those drugs. And now prescription drugs are big, really big. You can buy them out on the street, or kids go to the medicine cabinet and get them out of there. But prescription drugs are really big with the young. But the main thing that I've seen, because believe it or not, being in this so long, I'm actually working with the children of former clients.
Wow.
And maybe if I last long enough, I'll work with their grandchildren. But anyway, the change that I've seen is that it used to be very simple. You quit using alcohol or drugs, and that was it. You might have some depression, but today it's coupled with mental health issues. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people are self-medicating out there. Yeah. And so that's why we've integrated mental health services in our programs. And especially with teenagers, we have the only detoxes for teenagers in the state of California.
Wow.
And we have 3 of them, 2 for males and 1 for female. And not every child that comes to us is an addict. And I think parents need to recognize that children are going to experiment. It's there. At 11 and 12, they're being exposed on the schoolyard to marijuana and possibly alcohol. And not to panic, but one of the things that we do, we don't assume that these children are addicts when they come to us, and some are, but most aren't. But we try to give them the information and create the atmosphere where they may choose to not use, and a lot of them do that. They absolutely decide that they're not going to go down that path. Yeah, so if you catch it early...
Yeah, I'm shocked how young they are today.
Oh, they are. Yeah, we have them at 12.
Wow. Oh, my gosh. Mm-hmm.
They're in trouble as a result of using marijuana or alcohol, and they come to us, and 12 is the youngest, yeah.
I hear it from my grandkids, what's happening at school. It's shocking.
Absolutely.
Right, it is. And I read, we have a program for men and women that get out of prison and want to transition into society and want to stay clean. And I read their autobiographies, and almost every one of them started at 9, 10, 11 years old using drugs.
That's crazy. That's crazy. You're listening to Close Up on San Diego Business here on KCBQ, streaming live at AM1170theanswer.com. Give us a tweet at CloseUpSD. Email me at barry@closeupsandiego.com or find our page on Facebook. We want to hear from you. I'm your host, Barry Waxler, here with Andrea Kay, Urban Miaris, and our guest is Miss Jeanne McAlister from the McAlister Institute. So, Jeanne, you have an event coming up you wanted to tell us about.
Oh, I absolutely do. We're so happy about it. It's it's a celebration of people that have made that decision to stay clean and sober. And it's very inspirational. I mean, if you come, we encourage people who are not affected personally with alcohol and drugs to come support us, based on the fact that you'll see things like a woman will have a sign on her that says 309 days of being a mom, and then her child will have a sign saying 309 days of having my mom back.
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
I know.
Wow.
Yeah, so
I'm already getting teary, and I'm not even there yet.
Yeah, so it's July 18th,
okay,
and it's at Liberty Station. There is a fee, $35. If you can afford it, fine. If you can't, just come walk with us, because we need to celebrate the people that make this decision in their lives and recognize them, because for so long, I remember when I first got clean and sober, I didn't dare mention that I was in recovery and that I didn't drink.
Did you, because you felt that society put a shame?
Yeah, there's a stigma to it, you know. People don't recognize that it's not my fault. All right. I never woke up in the morning and said, "Oh, I'm going to go out and get so drunk that I can't see straight." You know, that's not the way you do it. You go out and say, "Oh, I'm going to have a couple of drinks," and then it takes you. We have a saying: first you take the drug, then the drug takes you.
Oh, that's so true, isn't it?
Do you see anything changing in the public from the stigma of you know, having a problem, people with alcohol or drug problems, the way they're viewed in the public? Is there anything changing about that?
I'm hoping it will. Yes, there's been a slight change. Today I can talk about it openly. And I'm hoping that more people step up and talk about their life in being sober and clean. You know, you've seen some celebrities that do it, and God bless them, because they're the ones that the teenagers are going to follow and listen to. And that's why I talk about it, not because I want any accolades for it, because I'm kind of doing what I was supposed to be doing, but I just want people to know that recovery works, and sometimes it takes more than one episode of treatment, and especially with young people.
Why especially with young people? Because they're so impressionable, you know, and they're so invincible, and all the things that happen to me aren't going to happen to them. You know, come on, they don't even think that they don't even think of death or any of those things. So they're just invincible. So that's why they're harder to reach. I have a question about a misconception. There's a movement to legalize marijuana across the country under the auspice that it's not addictive. Is it considered an addictive substance?
Absolutely. And I know that it's going to be legal here next year. I know that. And there's nothing I can do about it, but it frightens me a lot, because you right now have drunk drivers, right? You're going to have stoned drivers, and that really worries me. And not that we don't have them now, but I think it's less because it's not legal. There's so many things to think about when you legalize it, but it's going to happen, and it's not going to affect my business. I've always wanted to get out of business, that meaning that everybody got smarter, but it's not going to. It's going to increase. And when I read these autobiographies, the gateway drug was marijuana, and then they found something else, and it's still that way. Well,
we're starting to run short on time. Let's point our listeners to how they find out more about your walk.
Oh, okay. You can go to McAlisterInc.org on computer. On
the web. Okay. So,
sorry, it's taken me a while to get adjusted to the technology. Things. But it's walkforsobriety.com. All right. And please, I'm encouraging people to come. It's a fun event.
And what's the date? I don't think we mentioned the date.
July 18th, which happens to be the day before my 83rd birthday.
Oh, wonderful. So go celebrate sobriety and Jeanne's birthday.
At least come out to celebrate happy birthday.
Right. Thank you. Yeah.
So, well, we're gonna take your information and we're gonna promote it all the way up to the walk. That's something that I will be happy to do for you. I encourage everybody to go to the website again.
Walkforsobriety.com.
I wanted to make sure I got that right. Walkforsobriety.com.
The other thing I want to do before we close is I'm going to give out my cell phone number at 619-987-6393. And the reason that I do that is because every time I make a public appearance is because I've had some calls and we've saved a couple of lives with that number. So please, if you have any problems, any questions about your own struggle, call me and I'll direct you.
Great. Well, I can't thank you enough for coming down here, sharing your story, sharing your hard work, and we appreciate it. Whatever we can do to join with you, we're there.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate being able to get the message out that recovery works and rocks.
Great. This is Close Up on San Diego Business here on KCBQ, streaming live at AM1170theanswer.com. Send us a tweet at CloseUpSD or just find our page on Facebook. You can always email me at barry@closeupsandiego.com. Let me know what you think. I'm your host, Barry Waxler, and we will be right back after a word from our sponsors.